Behind me here in the aircraft park is the UK's first post-war airliner, the Vickers Viking. Towards the end of the Second World War, it was apparent that the country would need new civil aircraft. And at Vickers, chief designer Rex Pearson and the experimental department's head manager, George Edwards, put their thought to developing civil versions of the wartime bombers. One of the most promising of these was a version of the Vickers Wellington, and it was called the Vickers Commercial, or VC.1. The Wellington transport aircraft, as it was initially known, combined the Bristol Hercules engines and fabric-covered geodetic wings of the Wellington with the tail surfaces of the larger Warwick bomber and a completely new stressed skin metal fuselage. The prototype, given the name Viking, a name that had been used 26 years previously for a Pearson-designed biplane amphibian, was constructed in the closing months of the Second World War at the Fox-Warren Experimental Department near Brooklands. From there it was taken in sections by road to Wisley Airfield for final assembly and a first flight in June 1945. Flight trials were successful, and 19 Vikings, configured with 21 passenger seats, were ordered for the newly established state airline, British European Airways. On the 1st of September 1946, BEA initiated its scheduled Viking service from its post-war base at Northolt Aerodrome in West London to Copenhagen in Denmark. In the event, the initial 19 production Vikings were the last aircraft to incorporate Barnes-Wallis's geodetic construction. BEA was not keen to continue with the challenges of having fabric-covered aircraft in its fleet, and all subsequent production was redesigned to have stress skin wings and tailplanes too. As well as a number of other post-war airlines, the Viking was also ordered by the Royal Air Force for the King's Flight, to be used initially for a royal tour of South Africa in 1947. 4 aircraft were configured for royal duties, with 2 having VIP interiors, the third being a 21-seater for accompanying staff, while the 4th included a fully equipped workshop to cover any maintenance challenges en route. The RAF had also evaluated 3 other Vikings for use by its Transport Command, and this led to George Edwards, who had been promoted to chief designer in 1945 when Rex Pearson became chief engineer, developing a modified military version. Given the name Valletta, it included a much strengthened floor and a large compound door on the port side that could be used for loading vehicles or discharging paratroops. A further unique experimental modification of the Viking involved the substitution of its radial piston engines by Rolls-Royce Nene turbojets. The Nene Viking was the world's first pure-jet transport aircraft, providing useful early data on high-speed, high-altitude flight, and setting the scene for the long line of Brooklands-developed jet aircraft that were to follow.